Kell Brook will have surgery on his broken eye socket. Sustained a broken eye socket. His right eye when he lost to Golovkin Saturday night. He'll have the operation in Sheffield on Monday. In the second round was when the socket was broken and he had blurred vision, according to this report, before being stopped in round 5. This is Brook's first defeat in 37 professional contests. Dominic Ingle started to do a helicopter motion with the towel as he threw it in, and there were boos from the crowd. But Eddie Hearn is saying Dominic Ingle is now vindicated in stopping Kell Brook from taking further punishment. Eddie, in hindsight, said the injury can get worse and ultimately end somebody's career. Having initially questioned Dominic Ingle's decision, Brook agreed the day after that Dominic Ingle's decision had been correct. He's like a father figure. It was the right decision, and I can fight another day, he said. I was getting caught and getting caught. It could have ended up seriously bad. This is Golovkin's 17th world title defense. David Hay, he said the stoppage was absolutely spot on. You've got to realize Kell Brook is a current welterweight champion. He had no business taking that onslaught on the ropes. He's glad that Dominic Ingle stopped the fight. Kell Brook will be back in the ring in 6 months, earning money. Well, let me tell you this now. I was pretty harsh on the stoppage, but I don't think Dominic Ingle knew that the eye socket was broken at the time. Kell Brook certainly didn't. And I'm still going to take a hard line on it, as Brook collected a $3 million purse. It's a big purse to take. Yeah? This is why, when you're moving up these weights, you have to consider a lot of things, you know? Maybe he doesn't have the natural bone density to fight at that weight, you know? He was inexperienced as well, to be honest with you, to go up 2 weights. So there were a couple of things, oversights that maybe, I'm not saying they have to catch everything. That's just my opinions, yeah? But that's the reason they're giving why Brook was stopped. If you look at Marlon Starling's resume before he challenged Michael Nunn, and he lost the fight, but he gave him a very good fight. If you look at Sugar Ray Leonard's resume, Thomas Hearns, Duran, before they moved up, you're looking at 2 different levels here. 2 different levels. So you can't just compare and say, well, he's a welterweight moving up like Leonard. No, you need look, if you're going to quote historical events in boxing, you need some methodology behind it. You need to be able to have some comparable names on the resume that are comparable to the fighters of the past when they moved up. You've got to have some gauge there. You can't just say because he moved up and he moved up it's the same. You can't do that, man. You're just exposing your lack of boxing knowledge, and not only your lack of boxing, your desperation to put these guys up on the pantheon of greatness. You can't be so desperate. Let him legitimately and organically earn the title of greatness. What's wrong with that? And I can tell you this now. When Brook is healed up and good to fight again, Eddie Hearn and Brook are going to be very selective in what matches they take. You know? So, Brook landed a few shots, absorbed a few good punches. A lot of Kell Brook's British fan base and the British media are saying what a great performance by Kell Brook. Now, a lot of people thought Brook was going to get blasted out in 1. I didn't think he was going to get knocked out. I knew he was going to get stopped. I knew he would be on his feet. Because I analyze boxing just like a lot of you guys. And what they're not separating is somebody exceeding their expectations slightly. They're not separating that from a great performance. Just because you do a little better than what some people thought you were going to do doesn't make it a great performance. It really doesn't. Yes, he landed some good shots, but Golovkin stood right in front of him and didn't even try and move away from them. And he said he was going to do that beforehand. He said he wants a dogfight, a street fight. Golovkin said that. I mean, did Brook have him on the canvas? Did he have him really shook? Yeah, he caught him with a couple of shots that caught his attention, yeah. But that isn't, it's not a great challenge, like everybody's saying, in my opinion. Let's say if Kell Brook was fighting abroad, on a territory where Golovkin had all the support and he performed exactly the same way he did. Would he be getting all the props that he's getting now? They might say, oh yeah, he was brave. They might say, oh yeah, with this, that. He wouldn't be getting all this adulation now. He wouldn't. Eddie Hearn called this a super fight. Now, I grew up hearing that word super fight, and I attached Leonard versus Hagler to that. Hearns versus Hagler. Hearns versus Duran. That's a super fight. Wilfredo Gomez versus Salvador Sanchez. Super fight. Michael Spinks versus Tyson. Even though I knew Tyson was going to crush him, and Tyson did crush him, the fact was this was the lineal champion, the Ring Magazine champion, who beat a long-standing lineal champion in Larry Holmes. This was a super fight. The Purses personified this as a super fight. Holmes versus Cooney was a super fight. Even though Cooney had smashed up some good opponents, but in their elder age, he was also the #1 contender. He had a humongous KO percentage. He was massive. He had a massive fan base, and people were calling for this fight for a long time. It didn't just pop out of the blue like Brook, Golovkin, Khan, Canelo. There's no super fights, bro. They're not super fights. These are money-making exercises, which some of these super fights are money-making exercises. But they also have an ingredient of where the mass majority are calling for these fights for ages. Not just randomly, Brook, will you take the fight because Eubank will take it. That's some bullshit. This super fight, there's no super fight. And especially the way it ended. So when I'm looking at fights like Hearns versus Benitez in '82, that's a super fight. But it wasn't one of the major super fights. It wasn't like, oh yeah, maybe in America it had more of that woo factor, but worldwide, no, this wasn't the major super fight. But to put that fight there in the same category as Brook and Golovkin is, I mean, what would that fight be today in social media? You'd be jumping up and down, and that's how spoiled we were. I guess we was really spoiled. That's the only thing I can say. We were really spoiled. We had throwaway super fights. Nowadays, you put two knuckleheads together, it's a super fight. Let me calm down. Eddie Hearn is already planning the route back for Kell Brook, and they're not planning to stay at middleweight. Amir Khan at 154 is a distinct possibility. They're talking about Canelo Alvarez. They're even saying a Golovkin rematch if people want to see it in time to come. Who knows? But we all know that one's dead in the water. Eddie Hearn, he said that the Amir Khan fight would be his preference. They don't like each other, and as a promoter, there is nothing better in a build-up than two fighters that don't particularly like each other. So that's the fight that Eddie Hearn wants. Eubank Jr., apparently he incurred the rage of Barry Hearn, Eddie Hearn's old man. Eubank tweeted after the fight, and he challenged Golovkin, and he referenced Brook moving up 2 weights and said, when they fight, this will be with a real British middleweight. And he added to that, my corner don't own towels. See, that's the thing, man. That's the thing. See, when I talk, I'm coming from a harder line than you guys. This is what I'm saying. Eubank Sr., he moved up from super middleweight all the way to cruiserweight and fought Carl Thompson, who's a humongous cruiserweight puncher. That's a huge disparity of weight he gave up, and he went up past light heavyweight to cruiser. And in the first fight, he nearly got Carl Thompson out there. He floored him a couple of times, and it went the distance in a really exciting fight. In the second fight, he was stopped in the 9th. His eye was completely closed, and the ringside doctor stopped the fight. And Eubank was as mad as anything. He wasn't happy. He wanted to continue. And that's where Eubank Jr. is drawing his inspiration. They're talking about dying in the ring before quitting. And I'm not saying, look, Dominic, look, here's the thing, right? I'm not Kell Brook's trainer. I haven't been around him for 10 years. I'm watching boxing, yeah? So I don't have the investment that Dominic Ingle has. He done the right thing. Of course he done the right thing. But for somebody wanting to watch some blood and guts, who has a more neutral take on what they're expecting out the fight, they might be saying, oh, yo, stop too early. Not happy with it. Now, you know, it sounds a little brutal, but boxing is brutal. It is brutal. Now, there's an X-ray there, and I'm assuming that black line across where the outline of the eye is could be where the damage is. Brook said he was seeing 4 Golovkins. Well, I can't remember if I heard it from a film or a quote from a boxing trainer. When they said they were seeing double or 3 of their opponents, they said, well, just aim for the one in the middle. And, you know, I suppose that kind of ethos has gone out of boxing. And it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But you have to remember, while there's dinosaurs like me on the earth, we're going to remind you that there was a tougher era. And, you know, the history books will point out, well, there was tougher eras. Way tougher eras. At the time, it looked to me, you know, that, okay, Kel for a couple of punches, the crowd are excited, Triple G's getting on top, let's stop it now and count our losses. Better yet, count our big fat purses and earnings. That's what it looked like. It looked a little cynical to me. Injury comes with the territory if you're a boxer. I mean, Israel Vasquez now has a prosthetic eye due to all the hard battles he had, mainly against Rafael Marquez, a really hard lower weight puncher. So yes, it's good that Brook has somebody looking out for him. Every boxer needs it. I mean, in my opinion, Israel Vasquez was managed terribly. If I was managing Israel Vasquez, I wouldn't be letting him fight Marquez 4 times, maybe once. And if the money was there for a rematch, maybe twice, but not 4 times. Not for the purses he was getting. None of them were on pay-per-view. None of them were pay-per-view fights. This was pay-per-view on Sky. Brook and Golovkin. That was pay-per-view. So, analyzing boxing from my vantage point and being a promoter and being a boxer is 2 different things. No, I'm not going to have the same take as Dominic Ingram or a Kell Brook fan or a Golovkin fan. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm just giving my opinion. If you guys don't want me to give my opinion, it will be up to me to either stop making videos or stop watching. You could stop watching. Don't click videos unless you know the uploader is going to say something favorable that you like. Just don't click into them. Yeah? Stop telling me that, oh, you haven't suffered no broken orbital bone. No, I haven't. I don't box. I can imagine it's painful. I can imagine it is. But when I'm hearing language like superfight, this is the best challenge that he's ever had. Have you ever heard of Kasim Umar? You know,
I am right,
everything that a lot of people who gave honest analysis on the fight happened. Yeah? Wasn't elusive enough. You started brawling with Triple G. You know, when from the outset you should have been looking to outpoint and outbox him, and if the stoppage comes, cool. And now I'm supposed to join in the party. Oh yeah, great. Shit, Kel. No, you know what I mean? You done okay. You done okay, but it wasn't a great challenge. It wasn't a great challenge. A great challenge when you are up against a severe weight disparity with a genuine puncher is Billy Conn versus Joe Louis. That was a great challenge. Because he only had a couple of rounds to go before he took the title from Joe when he started slugging stupidly and he got knocked out. But no, that was a great challenge. Because we saw for a prolonged period this guy outboxing, outspeeding Joe, then got caught. I wouldn't put that in the same category. And Billy Conn was laid out on his back at the finish. He didn't have his cornerman waving flags like, you know, Dominic Ingle. But I accept why some of you ain't going to like the video. But let me tell you what my channel, when we're talking about boxing, how my analysis works. Let me tell you how it works. I am not waving no flags all around the place. I'm not. I'm looking on where he could have done better and how other fighters could potentially exploit a massive puncher like Triple G. He was a big puncher. Let's not get that twisted. I mean, he is a terrific puncher. Just hasn't had the opposition to match the punch power. That's what I'm about. So I'm not just gonna, oh yeah, brilliant. No. Because I said beforehand, not elusive enough. I want to taste his power. No, wrong language to use. I was saying all these things before. So in hindsight, I'm staying true to what I was saying before the fight. That's what I'm doing. I'm not the nice British loser. I'm not from that school. That's not why I watch boxing. I mean, I was watching African American fighters when I started watching boxing. That's what attracted me to the sport. And they wanted to win at all times. And they were the best, as far as I'm concerned. You know, some of you just want to see knockouts and rock'em and sock'em robot type fights at all costs, and that's bad for the game. Now, let me explain what I'm saying. I'm not saying knockouts, slugging fights are bad for boxing. I'm saying if you sacrifice and make that a priority, it kills boxing. Yeah? This is where I come from. The bottom line is results, results, results. Who's fighting the best guy and who's consistently getting the best results? That has to be first and foremost, right in the front, the main agenda of boxing. That's my opinion. Anything less, then it loses its authenticity. Once the authenticity goes, then it's no longer a viable sport. You can try and sell Katma Guy and Karras 6 times over. Yeah, you can sell it all you like. All you like. The best fight the best, regardless of their style, and whoever wins should go on to ply his trade on the biggest stage. Not rock'em sock'em guy. That's where I come from. So when you're expecting me just to wave my hands because, wasn't it a great crowd at the O2 Arena, and wasn't Brook brave, and Golovkin punch hard? No, I'm looking further and deeper to the extenuating circumstances. Golovkin is not fighting the right type of opposition to make him an ATG. And if you want to put him up as an ATG, he has the weakest resume out of all of them. Is that how you wanted to remember him as an ATG? No, surely it isn't. Kell Brook didn't even clean up the welterweight division. He hasn't even fought 3 credible welterweights in his career. And he's been a pro since 2004. That's the truth about this fight. And a lot of people were saying it was a sham of a fight. A lot of people came on my hangout and said, this is a sham of a fight. Now, I'm not going to say it's a sham. The fight itself wasn't a sham. I'm saying it was built up to be something it wasn't. It wasn't a super fight. This was not Golovkin's hardest challenger. Kasim Umar still holds that distinction. Triple G still hasn't had that opponent that the majority of non-waving fanboys can acknowledge and say, yo, that's Hagler-esque, that's Harry Greb-esque, that's Carlos Monzon-esque, or even Bernard Hopkins-esque, if you like. Still hasn't had it. Now, Triple G as a puncher, I haven't seen his punching power pitted against that defensively sound opponent, or maybe just that physically tough type of opponent. I haven't seen that, but I do believe, just from what I'm seeing on the screen, that he is an extremely deadly 160-pound puncher. And it's just a shame that somebody with so much natural gifts with that power isn't being tested or getting tested properly. I'm not talking for PEDs when I say getting tested. It's just a shame. Just a shame.